How's it going, everyone? And happy hump day to you. I'm Brian Mosier. I am the social media advisor for De La Torre Orthotics and Prosthetics here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm also the host of revAMPd podcast. Today is a very special day for me as I am celebrating 1 year as social media advisor for De La Torre Orthotics and Prosthetics. A little over a year ago, I came in for an adjustment here at De La Torre on my prosthesis. And I was talking to my prosthetist, and just in passing conversation, I said to him, you know, your social media really sucks. And I didn't say that to be disrespectful or anything like that. We were just having a conversation, and I had been talking about how I like working with companies who have a great social media presence. And he said, yeah, I know. And we went on and we talked about other things. A couple of weeks later, I came in again for another adjustment, and he said, remember when you said our social media sucks? And I was like, yeah. And he says to me, how would you like to do something about that? And I said, sure, absolutely, that would be great. And at the time, I thought that maybe they would have me volunteer, a couple of hours a week to work on their social media. And before I knew it, I was sitting down in the conference room with the team, and they made me an offer. And so I came on as part of the team here at De La Torre, and it has been an incredible year. I am beyond blessed to have this opportunity and to work for this organization. And when I began here, I don't think any of us had any idea of how this was going to play out or what it was going to grow into. And our practice administrator, Joyce, said, we want to do a podcast. And I said, no, absolutely not. I am not doing a podcast. Not a chance. Not going to happen. Not doing a podcast. Well, if you follow the journey, you know that we are indeed doing a podcast. We have revAMPd podcast, and we're approaching our 40th episode, which to me is absolutely unbelievable. But I appreciate all of the people who have been so humble and gracious with us in sharing their stories so that we can inspire, empower, and inform the limb loss community. This is more than a job for me. This is something that I love. And when we first started doing the podcast, it was a chore for me. I was out of my comfort zone. I was out of my element. I had no idea what I was doing at all. And if you listen to some of the early episodes, I think you can pick up on that a little bit. I've had tremendous help and support, not only from the company, but also from Will Boyd, who's a podcaster. And Will has just been invaluable to me in this experience. But when I first started with the podcast, I went through the motions and I hated it. Like, I absolutely hated doing the podcast, but I did it because it's what they wanted to do. And it made sense to do it. We started it as an outreach, and it's grown from there. But eventually I got to the point with revAMPd where I made an emotional investment. And then I absolutely loved the podcast. I love the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I love talking to people. I love telling people stories. There's a lot of amazing stories out there, and I love telling them, and I love getting stories out there because we want to help inspire other amputees that just because you become an amputee, whether it's upper extremity, lower extremity, above knee, below knee, whether it's toes or fingers, whatever the situation may be, just because you become an amputee, your life is not over. You still have a life. You still have great value and great worth. And so I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the podcast, and I'm really proud of how it's going, and I'm excited for the future. De La Torre has offered me some amazing opportunities that I would not have otherwise had. This past May, I got to go to Washington, D.C. for my first AOPA policy forum. And it was incredible to sit in these congressional offices and tell my limb loss story. And then, of course, this past August, I got to go to Louisville, Kentucky, and attend my first Amputee Coalition conference, which was amazing. For the first time in my life as an amputee, I felt normal. I was with 1,200 other amputees from all over the world. And for the first time in society, I felt normal being with so many other amputees. And it was a wonderful experience because I literally met like half my friends on Facebook in person over those few days. But, this experience has also allowed me to attend trainings and in-services that happen here at De La Torre with various companies that come in. And so I get to learn about all kinds of feet and knees and socket systems that are available. And I get to go in the back where the magic happens, and I get to see the different machines and how things are done to create the prosthesis that we as amputees get to wear. And it's just been an amazing opportunity for me. It's a learning experience. And one of the things that I haven't been real public about sharing, though, is this opportunity is really given me a sense of purpose. Beforehand, I was just kind of going through life, maybe going through the motions a little bit. And I often joke with people, I say, oh, well, before this came up, I was happily retired, wearing slippers and enjoying daytime drinking. And I didn't do any of those things. That's actually a quote from Grand Theft Auto 5, the story mode. But I was just kind of going through life, and I didn't know what my purpose was, and I didn't know how to find my purpose. And one of the things that I've realized since I've become part of the team here at De La Torre is that it's helped me find my purpose. Because, I love social media. Social media is fun for me. I enjoy doing it. I love the podcast. It's also fun, and I enjoy doing it. But beyond that, I get to help other amputees, and I get to talk to some of our patients, and I get to learn so much about the O&P industry, which is something I'm very passionate about. And I get to advocate for amputee rights and for better health care for amputees, which are two things that are very important to me. But it's really given me a sense of purpose. And, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be doing this, first of all, if my prosthetist, Drew, hadn't recommended my name to our practice administrator, Joyce. So I wouldn't be here without Drew, but I also wouldn't be here without Joyce, giving me the opportunity and believing in me. And then, of course, Ed and Paul De La Torre, who are the owners of De La Torre Orthotics and Prosthetics, also believing in me and allowing me to have this awesome opportunity. You can go through the podcast, and I actually do a podcast with Ed and Paul where they tell the story of the company and kind of how their father started the company and how all that went down to get us to where we are today. And so it's an awesome opportunity, and I'm so thankful for it. But I can't believe that I'm celebrating a year here already. It's been amazing. I look forward to many more amazing opportunities. And for those of you who are supporting what I do and who support the podcast, thank you so very much. Because even though people here at De La Torre have given me these opportunities, the podcast would not be successful without those of you who support it and listen to it and who have been guests on it. And I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Thank you for all of your support. And we look forward to having many more great podcasts in the future and doing many more things to impact the amputee community. Hope you have an amazing hump day. I'm Brian Mosier.